tools, because we also have to know how to negotiate once you're here. So how can you actually be a good negotiator? Yet also we understand the critical role of well-being, and especially also mental health and leadership in the space, as it can be a quite tough space to be in. And we want to equip the young negotiators with everything they need to actually thrive in this space, so they can bring this vital change we need to see in this convention to the table.
Thank you. And now we're going to hear from somebody who has benefited from your program, Absalom. Can you tell us a bit more about how this experience has been for you, and how has the training improved the work of the delegation of Zambia?
Yeah, thank you very much. I will start by saying that, first of all, our delegation is diverse. We have delegates coming from government, civil society, cooperating partners, youth groups, and community representatives. So having the land youth negotiators is an enhancement to our delegation, because why we had the diverse delegation is to ensure that Zambia's interests and the region are secured. So having the youths in our delegation has enhanced our negotiation and the discussions in the various themes that we are participating in. You see, as adults, we are looking at issues of national development from our perspectives, but with the inclusion of the youths, we are seeing that there is a different perspective added to our perception of things. So there are a lot of various emerging issues which us as the adults are not cognizant of, but you look at the changes in technologies and the various issues coming on board, the youths are always abreast. So they are seeing something that is of interest to them, and they're making sure that this they bring to the table during the negotiations.
Thank you. And was there a particular experience you had with a program that allowed you to inspire more people in Zambia?
Yes. The program has been very beneficial because it's now giving the youth the responsibility to shape their future. We recognize as a country that the youth are the future, and we need to let them lead the way. So by the program equipping them with the necessary skills in negotiation, we are very positive as a country that these are the future we want, and these are the people who are going to guide the next generations to come and ensure that the place that we are living for them, they will develop it and live it in a way that will be better inherited by the future generations.
Thank you. My next question is for Sherwin and Dorothy. How did the Land Youth Negotiator Program help you prepare to enter the negotiation room at COP16?
Well, for me, the negotiations were like teaching me how to understand the process of negotiating and also the power and dynamics. And then I also learned to analyze problems and develop a creative solution. So they were really helpful. It made me less stressed. It made me feel like, okay, I'm not going there to fight anyone, you know, we're going there to negotiate for the benefit of all. Thank you.
For me, the program actually brought down the UNCCD process from understanding the structure and the institutions, and it also helped me to be more confident entering the negotiation room. So I was prepared and not too much concerned about not knowing what to do. And from the series of training we had, the stimulations, everything that's prepared you to go into the room and feel more confident and but know how to negotiate and also how to represent your country and the position that it stood for as well.
And were you able to bring some real-life examples from your respective countries into these negotiations and put your country's interest forward? Dorothy?
Please come again.
You're from Zambia, I believe, right? Yeah. Were you able to bring the concerns that are facing people in Zambia when it comes to drought and land restoration? Were you able to bring that to the front?
Yes, actually I was, and I got to interact with many other people that were going through the same situation. We were able to navigate and learn from each other And from there, yeah, I would say I did get some insights from Zambia and just work together with other countries in order to understand where we're at, where we're going, and where we should be as well.
Sherwin, would you like to jump in?
Sure, yeah, same for me. Being in the annex that involved the Latin America and the Caribbean, I was able to not only bring my experience, but also we learn and share the experiences of the same region. So it was interesting to see that all of us basically had similar problems that we face. But, yeah.
Yes, these issues obviously affect the whole world, so it's very important to get everybody together to discuss them, even though you're in such different regions. Laura, as a funder of the Land Youth Negotiator Program training, how does environmental justice factor into your work, and what motivates you to carry this work on?
Thank you, very happy to answer that. I think I want to start with the premise that we built our program around, so the climate change program of the Bosch Foundation. We started 4 or 5 years ago, and the premise that we set ourselves is if we want transformative action on climate change, we need to look at social justice aspects. Transformation needs to be shaped by people that are involved and affected by climate change. So we need to look at systemic factors such as land rights for women. We need to look at meaningful participation of land stewards, of women, of youth, of indigenous leaders on land and decision-making processes. We need to fundamentally change the way I think we collaborate. And we also probably need to redefine success a bit away from numbers and towards what matters, towards people, towards how they feel, their resilience, their power, the space and the confidence they feel they have to achieve their objectives. And I think we, all of us here, we've collectively known this and we've been aware of that premise and been calling for that for very long. So when we built the climate change program 4 or 5 years ago, our premise wasn't revolutionary, I think. We've been able to benefit from the learning exchanges from people's experiences, of others who've been calling for this for so long. I think our question really was, how do we stay true to this premise and how do we put it into practice? And I think that's why we were so immensely grateful to meet these amazing people here, to come across the Youth Negotiator Academy. And I think immediately when we met first back in, we checked this before, 2022, I think we immediately felt we're sharing this understanding and we can build something together. And I think apart from the Youth Negotiator Academy having built an incredibly holistic program that addresses so many of the things that we wanted to see implemented, training capacities, political buy-in, mental health, I mean, really shaping a program that looks at all of these things together. I think one of the perhaps most unique things I've seen in this program and in the people that have joined it is the deep belief in collaborative power. And if we collaborate in different ways, we can, if we look at the actor ecosystem, if we really look at what true partnerships mean with negotiators, with governments, with civil society, with funders as well, and bring them all in, we can shape something that actually addresses the systemic issues and that actually is or embodies what justice means and is transformative. So I think just before I end, one thing I really wanted to say is thank you so much for having invited us into your space, into your community. It's been really, really empowering to see all the efforts and energy that you've been putting into this, sharing all your joy, sometimes also recognizing or perhaps acknowledging some frustration that we all have to deal with. And it's been really wonderful to see the program with all of you involved now in the LYNP, to see it grow over the past years. I think we're really excited to see how we can support you in growing it further, in shaping it in the upcoming years, thinking through with you around sustainability and resilience as a key topic, and to keep vision building jointly with you. Thanks. I took a bit longer. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's totally fine. No, young people, of course, are so crucial in these UN-convened conferences, and that's why we're so happy to engage with you and have you here and listen to your voices and your perspective, because the future belongs to young people and future generations, obviously. I'm just wondering, when you come to a conference like the UN with so many stakeholders, what kind of structure do you have to your program, to your training? Like, how do you teach people how to negotiate and sit at the table with government and private sector and all these high-level organizations?
Yeah, I think we have the great privilege to collaborate with a host of partners, actually, who are doing exactly that, who are looking at that very holistically, who are very much so we're learning a lot around what meaningful participation actually means for all of us, whether it's for youth negotiators, whether it's for restoration champions, for instance, who we also support some of them at this COP. I think what's really important is, and that's what the Youth Negotiator Academy is also doing, training in advance, getting familiar with all these narratives, getting familiar with terminologies, with the actors, looking at what does networking mean actually, how do I network, how do I use those connections, looking at how do I connect also the global spaces and everything that's happening here with people back home, with your own constituencies, how do I connect the global and the local agendas. And I think what's really important to recognize is it doesn't just happen, it's not chance, but we all have to make very conscious efforts. And yeah, we're very grateful to collaborate with so many amazing initiatives on that.
Wonderful. I also have a question for each and every one of you. It's the same one, so please give us your impression of why it's important for intergenerational collaboration to take place here at UNCCD and the negotiations that we see take place. Marie-Claire, would you like to start?
I think that the three conventions are trying to address the planetary challenges that we are facing. And if you look at the UNCCD, it's a convention that is deciding the future for everyone. All the solutions that we are proposing to address issues of climate change depend on sustainable land management. All the decisions to conserve, protect, and manage biodiversity depends on sustainable land management. So bringing the youth in decision-making for sustainable land management is key to securing the future of everyone. And I believe that this is a very good beginning because the program is empowering the youth to shape the future, not just for themselves, but for us and those who are not here. So this is an initiative that we need to support from all angles and ensure that it is successful. And we need to support the youth and mentor them, that they need to be on board and they need to dedicate their time to shaping their future because there's no one else apart from them who is going to do this for them. It's them and it's their future. Thank you.
Thank you. Dorothy, would you like to answer the question?
Of course. Well, I believe intergenerational collaborations bring together diverse perspectives and experiences and knowledge. And they also address complex challenges that we face every day. So it helps ensure that the needs of all generations are actually put into account. And then together, across all generations, we work together, we gather collective knowledge, creativity, we address issues all as a collaborative. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Sherwin, would you like to go next?
Sure. Intergenerational collaboration is critical within UNCCD negotiation because addressing the issues that we have, such as land diversification and drought, requires leveraging the expertise from both the young and the old. Not older, but the generation before us brings more institutional knowledge that the younger of us might not have, and the younger people bring more fresh ideas, new perspective, and we come with a different mindset of it just slipped me, but it's more like the mindset of not sticking with the status quo and trying to get things done. So I feel like merging the two together is a good combination.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, negotiations here, they are a very, very critical space. They give us direction for what we want to do on land issues, but I think we also need to take care to connect that again to all the other spaces that we're working in. So the negotiations here have to be informed by so many more perspectives, and I think that's why, including the youth perspective, so I think that's why it's so critical in seeing who can connect those spaces, who can go back to constituencies, and inform these spaces with, you just mentioned it, new visions, new perspectives, and also perhaps who can bring a different dynamic of working into these spaces. And I mentioned earlier the collaborative element, and I think that's also what you guys are really, really trained on, to see how can we bridge geographies, how can we bridge between generations, how can we bridge regions, and how do we redefine collaboration in a way?
Thank you. Marie-Claire, would you like to answer?
For us, the piece of intergenerational collaboration is actually at the heart of what we are doing while we are enabling young people to enter the space. We do this because they haven't had this voice at the table before. But this actually means that we are assisting the current negotiators and the more senior colleagues who have been here before us, as you rightly pointed out as well. By enabling young people, we do truly believe that every generation can bring forward this unique opportunity of all the generations. And when we are having such big challenges ahead of us, I truly, truly believe that we can only do this by actually bringing these different generations together so we can actually deliberate and come with the best available solutions for land, for climate, but also for biodiversity. So that's also why when we were already starting the program, we put together a Wisdom Council, a council of seniors, of elders, of people who have been here before we were even born and have been shaping this convention. One of them is Luc. Luc is the former executive secretary of this convention. He has been Benin's Minister for Environment and also politician. He's a farmer and an architect by training. And having, for example, his perspective from decades-long engagement in this convention is really, really helpful to us. So we as young people do not fall into the traps of the system once again and repeat and repeat and repeat the same pitfalls, but we can actually learn from these experiences and then come in with a different mindset, as you have been mentioning, coming in with a different view and perspective of how we as member states, how we as civil society, how we as diverse actors can actually come together. So for us, intergenerational learning, but also intergenerational collaboration and leadership is at the heart of what we are doing, and actually is why we are doing this, because we truly, truly believe that we as humanity have a unique opportunity, if we are coming all together into these rooms, to take better decisions, which actually bring us forward so we can achieve land degradation neutrality, but also really, as you have been pointing out, leave the world in a better place for the future generations, who we already right now have to think about when we are taking the decisions.
Thank you so much. Maybe I can ask you one last question before we conclude. What is the future of the program?
So we have been starting in the climate space, and we have been running the program, the Climate Youth Negotiator program, for 3 consecutive years. And it has been beautiful to see and witness and support the journey of so many of these young negotiators. It was incredible to see that actually 2 of these young people we have been supporting in the year 1 have now been the heads of their own delegations, are leading the country as permanent secretaries, and are really able to be the youngest person and work with so many senior colleagues. And I think that's what the true intergenerational collaboration is about. We also have been seeing many young people really stepping into roles and leading, for example, the regional coordination, because many countries have quite small delegations, to be frank. And I think it's really crucial that we collectively support these efforts as well, and this is where young people can come in and, for example, convene the regions around very critical topics. As mentioned, we have been then, as a consequence of the success, together we heard from the parties, but also from the Secretariat, and the Deputy Executive Secretary from this convention, Andrea Messa, was quite crucial because she has been continuously encouraging us to actually do this program here. And so we are now in our year 1. We have been training 100 young people from 35 countries. I know that there are many more countries who want to join us. We had many conversations as well. So we are expanding the countries we are working with. We also want to train more young people. Nevertheless, also we want to support the current cohort with an advanced training program so they can actually deepen and widen their knowledge and support them on their journey so they can actually get even more involved and take on more responsibilities. On the other side, as mentioned, all the conventions are actually working hand in hand very closely together if we really want to overcome the current challenges. That's why we have been also at all the 3 COPs. So we were at the other COP 16, the one for the CBD, the Convention on Biological Diversity, University in Cali in Colombia, where we launched the Biodiversity Youth Negotiator Program. And what is truly unique is that by training young people for all these different conventions, we can also bring them together. So the young people from Zambia across the convention, or the young people from Antigua and Barbuda across the convention can actually come together and also support the civil society and the ministry back home to actually do more collaboration, because that's where the true implementation happens. On the international level, we can also coordinate much better, because we have actually negotiators who truly understand the other conventions. Because I think that's one of the biggest challenges when we talk about how can we actually synergize between the conventions if we don't even know what the topics are, how they work, how can we actually really make these connections happen. So that's the real goal for us, to bring in more of these young people, bring more countries on board. And we have been working in total with over 80 countries so far, which is 40% of the member states. And I think it's truly exciting that we have some more countries to go and some more young people to reach. And I'm truly excited for this journey ahead with all our partners, countries, and young people who are all also advocates for this kind of bigger movement, because ultimately what we are here for is a movement for environmental justice, for intergenerational collaboration, for youth empowerment, but also for really bringing the action to the ground and implementation.
Thank you so much, and best of luck with the training program. We have a few minutes left if anyone has questions from the floor. Otherwise, you can catch our great panelists on their way out. That concludes our session. Thank you so much.